Okay, so good afternoon again everyone, BBM 12. So ang andito ay si Jaisel, si Arvin, si Cristel, Irene, si Priscilla, Ara, Seth, Charlotte, and Maria Russell A. Javier. Okay, so today, ang next naman sa business finance is yung business ethics. Okay, so what do we mean by ethics? So these are the things that we need to do correctly, no? Or parang, kumbaga, dito naman nagmamatter yung behavior natin, especially in the corporate world and in the business. Okay? So yun, dun sa topic na ililas natin today, we will meet some people, for example, yung mga philosophers na kilala natin, for example, Socrates, and they will teach us not just about life, but also topics that we can apply in the corporate world and in business. Okay, so I'll be sharing my screen. And let me know if you can hear. Okay, so I'll start playing the video. Good day, everyone. So for today, we're going to discuss Business Ethics and Social Responsibility, Chapter 2, Foundations of Principles and Business Ethics. So our objective for today, after we have already discussed all of this, so we should be able to identify the classical philosophies, specifically virtue ethics. For example, Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, Confucius, and etc. And then we should be able to identify or explain the impact of belief systems of the other religions, for example, the Buddhism, Islam, and Christianity. And then lastly, we should be able to enumerate and then explain the Filipino value system. For example, utang na loob, filial piety, and then padrino suke, bahala na mañana, amor proprio, and the other Filipino family values. Okay, here are the foundation principles of business ethics. So first example is we should be able to exercise due care. So what is the meaning of exercise due care? All professionals are held to special standard of competency and care in their work. And then next, confidentiality, should not use information for the purpose other than those expected or approved by the disclosure. So dapat hindi tayo lagi-laging nag-share or hindi tayo basta-basta nag-share ng mga information ng isang company. So nasa kontrata naman yun kung ano yung mga i-share lang dapat natin. So pag nasa isang company tayo, yun may mga trainings tayo or may mga seminars, kung ano yung mga dapat lang natin na i-share at yung mga hindi dapat natin i-share. So for exercise due care, ang example nito, for example, managers have a responsibility to oversee the actions of subordinates. And then firms have the responsibility to test the products. And then firms must assess and justify negative environment consequences of products and production processes. So nakalagay naman to sa job description natin. And then, syempre, nakalagay din siya sa mga qualifications natin. So dapat, pag-pirma natin ng mga contract, nag-agree tayo na ito yung mga responsibility natin. So since qualified naman tayo, ayan, at professional naman tayo, so dapat ine-exercise natin yung skills natin, yung kaalaman natin doon sa job na binigay sa atin. So may mga job description naman at dapat niyong gawin yun. Hindi pwedeng may kinakaligtaan kayo doon. So yun, exercise due care. Fidelity to special responsibilities. So special duties must give first priority to those duties. So minsan meron tayong mga duties na urgent. Yan, especially kunwari merong nasira ng equipment and then kailangan ng special attention doon sa event na yon. So minsan may mga duties na pinaprioritize tayo over sa mga ordinary na duties. So other examples, trustees have special responsibilities to clients as do agents and stockbrokers. So also manager have special responsibilities to shareholders, employees, and all stakeholders. So syempre as a manager, and hindi lang naman yung mga top management yung dapat mong isipin. Kaya medyo malaking responsibility ng manager kasi yung top management at saka yung mga subordinates yung iniisip na. Other example, employees have special responsibilities to their employer. So dapat yung mga employees, ayan, meron tayong nakalagay rin naman siya sa job description. Meron tayong mga responsibilities para sa employer natin. Next, avoidance of the appearance of conflict of interest. Yan. So should place selves in position where they have personal incentives to take action which could be harmful to firms. So meron tayong mga decision making, meron tayong mga work na pwedeng i-test yung natin, yung conflict of interest or matetest yung ability natin to choose between ourselves and then the employer. So, syempre, as an employee, lagi natin pipiliin yung kapakanan ng employer or yung company natin. Okay? So, kunyari, meron tayong biglaang deadlines for this day. Tapos, ang nangyari, gusto mo sanang umuwi ng maaga. Kaso, nagkaroon ng meron kayong deadline, tapos merong nagkasakit, kailangan mong i-cover. So, syempre, parang para ma-avoid natin yung conflict of interest, so unahin natin yung work. Ayan, para matapos natin agad yung mga duties natin for that day. And also sa mga sa mga ibang work na may nasusuhulan. Yan, for example, gusto ng isang client na mauna siya or unahin mo yung reports niya or yung siguro financial statements, unahin mo yung pag-compute kasi gusto na nilang malaman. And then, hindi naman sila una sa pila. So, minsan ang ginagawa ng ibang client, naglalagay sila, which is hindi dapat ganoon. Dapat kung ano yung nasa patakaran nyo, yun yung susundin natin. So, hindi natin tatanggapin yung suhol or mga lagay-lagay or mga bribes, no? And then another one is willing compliance with the law. Ayan. So dapat yung mga duties and responsibilities natin, yung output ng products natin, yung ginagawa ng isang company, naka-align yan sa law ng bansa. So comply with the spirit of the law and avoid attempts to circumvent the intent of legal restrictions. So managers should willingly comply with the law. Further, they should comply with the spirit of the law and avoid attempts to circumvent the intent of legal restrictions. So managers should not readily accept weak justification for breaking the law. Yan. So minsan syempre pag pag nasa isang kampanya tayo, minsan kung ano na yung sistema, yun yung sinusunod natin eh. Porque ginagawa ng iba, gagawin din natin. So hindi dapat ganun. So dapat susundin pa rin natin yung batas. Okay, so kung ibang company nanduduga sila ng financial statements para ma-satisfy nila or ma-convince nila yung mga client nila, ayan, di dapat pa natin siya gawin. Hindi porke ginagawa ng nakakarami, tama na yun. Okay, so dapat basahin pa din natin kung ano yung nasa law. Acting in good faith in negotiations. So good faith may be defined as acting fairly with context of transaction. So itong in good faith, lagi natin yan ma-encounter, especially pag during your college, tapos pag mag-law, lagi tayong in good faith. Ayan. So good faith may be defined as acting fairly within the context of a transaction. Ayan. So for example, an individual must be appropriately forthright and make factual statements honestly. Ayun. And then managers, for example, acting in good faith will conform to conversation or conventions of the industry when representing products to peers and will refrain from using industry conventions to victimize the naive. So, in good faith, dapat hindi porke walang ignorante yung mga client nyo, syempre wala naman silang ganun ka-knowledge sa mga product na ino-offer natin. Parang sasamantalahin na natin yun. So, another example, firms should not misrepresent their products in advertising and personal selling, nor should they knowingly promise to deliver products or to make payments unless they expect to be able to do so. So, dapat yun sa mga advertisement din, dapat kung ano yung mga nasa advertisement, ayun din yung i-offer sa mga clients or sa mga customer natin. Ayun, wag natin sinabigyan ng mga false hope. Ayan, minsan nangyayari yan sa mga Shopee eh. Minsan ang ganda ng mga nasa picture, pero pag deliver na sa'yo, parang ibang-iba. So, hindi yun in good faith. Dapat hindi tayo ganun. So, another example is respect for human well-being. And managers must respect the physical and emotional well-being of the employees, clients, customers, and other stakeholders. Managers must give the highest priority to safety and must fully disclose known risks both to product users and employees in the workplace. So further, employees, clients, and suppliers should not be sexually and emotionally harassed. So, yun nga, pag alam mo ng, kunyari as a manager, alam mo na masama yung pakiramdam ng employee mo, may sakit siya, wag na natin pilitin. Kasi mamaya, kung may mangyari pa dyan, sagutin pa yan ng company. And yun, kaya may mga companies na pinopromote nila yung mga work-life balance, ayan, para hindi sila magkasakit, no? And yun nga, siguro kunyari, parang kung between sa life ng employees natin and then sa client, yung client naman kasi pwede natin kausapin pwede tayo makapag-negotiate na pwede mag-i-move natin yung deadline, ayan, kasi may sakit na yung employee namin, gano'n. So, parang as a manager, isa rin sa task mo na makipag-negotiate sa client, especially pag yung health na ng mga employees mo yung nakakompromise. Next is respect for the liberty and the constitutional rights of others. So workplace restrictions on basic rights may significantly compromise employees' ability to exercise the full value of those rights. So workplace restriction on basic rights including those pertaining to speech, religion, freedom from invidious discrimination, and access to government may significantly compromise employees' ability to experience the full value of those rights. Managers should give extreme priority to preserving liberties and constitutional rights, even where specific legal sanctions do not exist. Ayun, syempre, priority pa rin talaga natin yung well-being. Yan yung mga rights ng employees natin. So, dapat hindi lang customer yung iniisip natin. For example, yung safety ng customer, ayan, like, syempre, i-review natin yung mga products and services natin kung safe ba siya sa mga customer natin. Syempre, pag hindi yun safe or hindi maganda yung service natin, syempre, yung reputation naman ng company yung madadamage, no? Kaya minsan priority natin yung customer. Pero dapat priority pa rin natin yung mga employees. Kasi kung hindi natin sila alagaan at hindi natin ibibigay yung rights, yung mga benefits na dapat nilang natatanggap, incentives nila, syempre, magre-resign yun. Hahanap yun ng ibang company. And then, madadamage or magkakaroon ng effect yun sa performance ng company. So, dapat dalawa yung iniisip natin, yung kapakanan ng employees natin and then kapakanan din ng mga customer. Kasi contract yun. Nag-agree kayo na si employer ibibigay niya yung service, si employee ibibigay niya yung service na kailangan ng companies, and then yung company ibibigay niya yung mga incentive and benefits na nararapat para sa mga employee. So next lesson is the classical philosophies. And so we have the virtue ethics. So according to Socrates, virtue meaning a sort of knowledge that is required to reach ultimate good, or eudaimonia, which is what human desires and action aim to achieve. Eudaimonia meaning constituted wealth and power by rational activity in accordance with the virtue. Ultimate good. And then, according to Plato's, in his Republic, sigulat niya sa Republic, meron ditong nakasaad na four cardinal virtues. So, the prudence, justice, fortitude, and temperance. So rational part of the soul or mind must govern the spirited, emotional, and appetitive parts in order to lead all desires and actions with the eudaimonia, and the principal constituent of which is virtue. And so again, another one is the commentaries on Nicomachean Ethics according to St. Thomas Aquinas and Summa Theologia. Green idea of virtues was later incorporated with the scholastic Christian moral theology. So the Christian virtues were also based on the large part of the 7 virtues from Clemens Prudentius, according to his epic poem, which is the 7 virtues. So we have the chastity, temperance, charity, diligence, kindness, patience, and humility. So the practice of these virtues was alleged to protect one against temptation from the 7 deadly sins. So according to Clemens, nagbigay siya ng 7 virtues which is we can use against the 7 deadly sins. So virtue ethics has been a recurring theme of political philosophy, especially in the emergence of classical liberalism, the Scottish Enlightenment of 18th century, and the theoretical underpinnings behind the American Revolution of 1775. However, although some Enlightenment philosophers, for example, David Hume, continued to emphasize the virtues with utilitarianism and deontology. So virtue ethics moved to margins of Western philosophy. So, and in the second half of the 20th century, there was a minor revival of virtue ethics, principally due to the efforts of Elizabeth and other philosophers.
Nescafe Classic, 100% puro at natural.
Strategy. I just
Okay, so we have already discussed yung mga philosophers. Then let's try to watch this one from okay, so 15 business lesson by Socrates. So hoping no, that we can apply this in business and incorporate.
Socrates lived from 470 to 399 BCE in Athens, Greece. During his 71 years, he was so impactful he would have topped the Forbes most influential list for sure. Strangely enough, he didn't put pen to paper for any of his great works. Instead, they were enthusiastically recorded by his student, Plato. Today, Socrates' wisdom is being seen as a great inspiration for how to tackle the modern business world. The Socratic culture that results from adopting Socrates' principles creates an engaging, driven, and intense environment. The focus is always on the best possible outcome, since all shareholders are considered. We've gathered 15 life lessons we can learn from Socrates to build better business practices. Welcome to alux.com, the place where future billionaires come to get inspired. If you're not subscribed yet, you're missing out. Let's go back to ancient Greece and consider some of the greatest reflections of Socrates that are becoming popular in modern business. Number 1. I am the wisest man alive, for I know one thing, and that is that I know nothing. Socrates begins with humility, for he realized that the more knowledge you gain, the more you realize you don't know. Those who believe they are experts in a field often don't know as much as they think, as their narrow realizations prove they only know very little, and so they believe they know enough. Socrates instead approached every topic from a point of complete ignorance and scrutinized it to build a better understanding. If we realize there's no end to knowledge, we'll never exhaust the potential to solve problems and create new opportunities. Number 2. The unexamined life is not worth living. Socrates was clear that to be able to operate successfully in the world, you first need to understand your own inner workings. This is not about what you want to be or what you own and what you want to have in the future. This is about looking within the soul of ourselves. In doing so, you'll be aware of what you're good at and what you're not, so you can focus on your strengths and help your weaknesses. This idea also relates to the idea of ignorance and how living a life without understanding how it works simply isn't worth living at all. Number 3. I cannot teach anybody anything. I can only make them think. Another of Socrates' humbling principles is similar to the saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. The role of a true leader is to empower those below you, but there's no way to force anyone to onboard knowledge. The best way to achieve this is to engage them to think, and this is where the best business practices are finding a new groove and reaping the rewards. Keep watching for more on this. Number 4. Understanding a question is half an answer. So, how does one get the horse to drink, or think in this case? Socrates placed great importance in asking questions. In fact, it was often the way he taught. You might have already noticed the Socratic Method creeping into boardrooms and conferences you've attended. It's basically a series of questions being asked in various techniques. The idea is to engage critical thinking. Instead of asking your team simple questions like, what were the figures for the fourth quarter? Rather, engage a discussion that can lead to understanding and solutions, such as, what do you think led to the figures we achieved in the fourth quarter? Then listen to the answers. A big part many of us forget about asking questions is allowing people the time to answer them while we listen. Typically, we ask questions to gain 3 types of insights: priorities, possibilities, and probabilities. Use different questions to help hone in on what your needed particular outcome is. Number 5. Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle. This saying is used in yearbooks, blogs, and passive-aggressive fridge magnets in the office. It isn't actually certain if it was summarized in these words by Socrates, but it does line up with his values. This one is quite self-explanatory to A-Luxers like you, so let's move on. Number 6. Education is the kindling of a flame, not the filling of a vessel. Socrates saw himself as someone who spread a lust for wisdom by challenging norms and inspiring wonder. He was later considered a heretic as he questioned the ancient Greek mythologies that explained everything from lightning to a successful harvest. Socrates preferred to lean on scientific understanding more than ancient stories. He wasn't very verbose about these beliefs, but the questions he asked at debates clearly spelled it out. Many business leaders can learn from this. Inspire your team by questioning commonly held beliefs through robust dialogues, instead of just monologuing about your own beliefs. Number 7. Strong minds discuss ideas. Average minds discuss events. Weak minds discuss people. According to Socrates, we give away the state of our minds by what we discuss with others. He hints that the greatest topic of discussion is to explore and examine ideas with one another. This way, we can also stay free from negative actions like slander and gossip, but more on Socrates' strong feelings later. Number 8. The way to gain a good reputation is to endeavor to be what you desire to appear. Many before and many after him have shared similar sentiments to Socrates on this one. From the Dalai Lama to John Lennon, we should all be the change we want to see in the world, and the change begins within. Many of us carry a righteous ego, quick to call out others doing what is against our definition of good. But few of us exude these values of good living in our daily life. Socrates puts it to us to live out the reputation we believe we deserve so we can genuinely gain it. Number 9. To move the world, we must move ourselves. Staying with the theme of change beginning with us, Socrates also points out we cannot expect the world to adapt and change without us first adapting and adopting a change of mindset. In business, it's also important to remember that if you want to introduce a disruptive technology, you better be the first to be willing to be disrupted. And if you're struggling to motivate yourself, why not watch our video on 10 ways to stop procrastinating? Number 10. Employ your time improving yourself by other men's writings, so that you shall gain easily what others have labored hard for. Socrates was a humble man who had no problem with taking advice from others, and he tirelessly studied the writings of others. In doing so, he didn't begin with his own philosophies from ground level, but rather leveraged already established knowledge and was able to build on top of it. It's the old-fashioned principle of not reinventing the wheel. Many entrepreneurs would do well to go back to basics and get up to speed with what business greats before us have already established, and then build from there before going at it alone when a roadmap is already available. Number 11. Beware of the barrenness of a busy life. It's a commonly understood belief that if you need something to be done, give it to a busy person. And while idleness can breed idleness, many business leaders are opting to stay away from busyness. All these years ago, long before social media and mobile phones, Socrates recognized that busyness can be meaningless and often results in less being done, or at least less important accomplishments being achieved. He was also clear that for parents, their most important investment is in their children, not in material wealth, because at the end of the day, your children will inherit your wealth as adults, but cannot care for themselves as children. So focus on the job at hand and parent them properly, which will reap far greater wealth. Number 12. It's not living that matters, but living rightly. Socrates was clear that doing evil harms the doer more than the person being wronged, because the person being wronged still has their virtue. He believed that in knowledge we understand good versus evil, and thereby gain virtue. Gaining virtue was the only way to find happiness. And this couldn't be truer in business, because no matter how well your business is doing, if we know it's successful because of the exploitation of others, we'll never have true fulfillment or happiness. This is clear in the move to more ethical business practices and by a market demand for corporations to uphold higher moral values. Living rightly and virtuously has never been more important in business than it is right now, but more on this in our last lesson. Number 13.
You see, we edit a lot of videos every day, so we don't get much time to answer emails or write long proposals for clients. Until we found
Number 13. He is a man of courage who does not run away, but remains at his post and fights against the enemy. Socrates believed in facing your demons and seeing a task through. Of course, this does require you to have followed the previous advice and be sure you're in the right place, you're the right person for the job, and the battle is the right one for you. If you answer yes to these, it's your time to have courage and not avoid the battle. Avoiding battle merely delays the problem, whatever it is. It doesn't solve it. Number 14. Remember, there is nothing stable in human affairs. Therefore, avoid undue elation in prosperity or undue depression in adversity. As an entrepreneur, you've probably been told to get a stable job and an income you can rely on rather than pursue your business venture. But Socrates points out that nothing is stable or predictable. Therefore, we shouldn't put too much emphasis on celebrating our achievements, and on the flip side, not too much weight on our failures either. In adopting this mindset, we learn that nothing is constant but change, and the only way to measure our personal success is really in our ability to navigate good or bad moments and keep moving ahead. And if you're enjoying these business lessons, head over to one of our other business leader videos. Why not start with Elon Musk? Number 15. If a man is proud of his wealth, he should not be praised until it's known how he employs it. We mentioned earlier there's never been a more important time to be virtuous. The public have never scrutinized and mobilized themselves in such a way since the birth of online social networks. If you aim to maintain your upward business trajectory, be sure you build your wealth on the basis of good and virtuous practices, or your fall from public grace will be the only thing you'll be banking on. And Aluxers, here we are at the end. Which of these values do you already use in your business life? And which of these do you see yourself adopting to achieve business success? Let us know in the comments. And for sticking with us until the end, here's your bonus. I am not an Athenian nor a Greek, but a citizen of the world. Socrates was probably the first global citizen long before Reddit, Facebook, or Twitter helped us find our international tribe online. Socrates had already gained the insight that before any creed or nationality, we're part of a global community. For some of us, it took a tragedy like the COVID-19 outbreak to realize our interconnectedness as a species and our interreliability as the human race. Socrates was way ahead of the curve, and his renouncement of his nationhood cost him his life, but he never lost his humanity. Thank you for spending some time with us, Aluxers. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss another video. We also handpicked these videos, which we recommend you watch next. You can talk to us on
Okay, so for lesson 6 and of our chapter 2, impact of belief system. Yan, so we have different religion. So pwede naman kayo mag-search yung ano-ano yung mga religion na yung ano nila, yung mga nakagawian nila ay may effect din sa business ethics. So for example, business ethics for the Christians, yan. In Christianity, the basis of theology is the Old Testament and the New Testament. The Christian in commerce should not desire to get another's good or labor for less than it is worth. Ayan. So one must try not to obtain a good price for his own wares and extortation. If one is buying from the poor, charity must be exercised as well as justice. And then the buyer must pay the full price that the goods are worth to him. Moreover, the buyer shouldn't admit suffering of the vendor because he cannot stand out for his price. But the vendor should not offer a loan or persuade someone else to do so. So yon sa Christian, ayan, dapat hindi tayo bumibili or sobrang nagtatawad tayo sa mga vendors. Dapat kung ano yung totoong value ng isang bagay, patapatan natin yon. Hindi natin pwedeng tawaran yun hanggang sa malugi yung mga vendors. And parang kung bumibili naman tayo sa mga poor, ayan, and then dapat i-exercise natin yung charity. So pwede tayong magbigay ng mga tip, yan, or dagdagan natin yung presyo para makatulong tayo sa kanila. Since nag-work naman sila, so dapat ayun, bigyan natin sila ng dagdag panakita kasi pinaghihirapan naman nila yun. Hindi naman sila namamalimos. Ayan. And also, pag ang mga buyers naman ay hirapang bumili or i-avail yung mga product, hindi natin dapat sila pinipersuade na pwede itong hulugan, pwede itong installment. Ayan. Kasi baka maaaring mahirapan pa sila or mababaon pa sila sa utang. In Jewish business ethics naman, Judaism, which relies on the Torah for its written law, has had a great impact on marketing and business ideology. Jewish culture, values, and ideas have penetrated into many aspects of modern life, including modern market. And some points examined in this paper include honest on the market, fair pricing, and business relations. So honestly, in the market, merchants are prohibited from falsifying weights and measures, owning a dishonest weight by the Torah. So yun nga, syempre, pag ito yung mga samang talita pa, di ba? Ayan, pag bumibili tayo ng per kilo na meat, ayan, hindi dapat natin siya dinuduga yung weighing scale natin. Dapat kung ano talaga yung weight nung binili ng mga buyer, yun dapat yung ibebenta natin. Okay? Fair pricing, if you sell something to your neighbor or buy something from your neighbor's hand, you shall not cheat each other. Similarly, if individual is unaware of true value of an item and wishes to sell it, one must not take advantage of the seller's ignorance and underpay. Price stability is the great concern of to the Talmud. So yun nga, pag nagbebenta tayo and then hindi naman alam talaga ng bibili yung totoong presyo no, hindi dapat natin sila dinuduga. So dapat kung ano yung totoong value ng item na binibili natin, na binebenta natin, papatungan lang natin yun ng justified na markup price. Yun. And as well as kunyari merong nagbebenta ng isang bagay, wala rin siyang idea kung ano ba yung totoong value nun. Ayun, syempre ikaw as a buyer, lalo na pag maliit yung pagpepresyo niya doon, maging honest tayo. So sabihin natin sa kanya yung totoong presyo nung binebenta niya. Huwag natin silang dudugain. Next is business relations. Employer are required to pay employees on time. Indeed, business ethics occupies such an important place in Jewish laws, culture, and tradition that the Talmud has as the very first question to an individual at the final judgment. Were you honest in your business dealings? Ayan, syempre pag as an employer or company, dapat on time tayong magpasweldo. And then kung ano talaga yung dapat nilang ma-receive na sweldo, yun yung ibibigay natin. So, kunyari ngayon, kung i-apply natin siya ngayon, kung ano yung pinaka minimum na sweldo dapat ng mga employees natin, ibigay natin sa kanila. Kahit ano pang work yan, dapat kung ano yung minimum wage na dineclare ng government, ayan, or ng DOLE, ayun yung ibigay natin sa kanila. Huwag natin samantalahin na porke hindi sila nakatapos or kailangan kasi talaga na lang ng work, huwag natin sila sasamantalahin. Okay? Kasi pag namatay tayo and then patulungin tayo ni Lord or ng San Pedro, ayan, naging honest ba tayo sa business dealings natin. Next is the Muslim business ethics. For Islam, the basis of these laws is the Quran. Yan. Islamic teachings strongly stress on observance of ethical and moral code in human behavior. Muslim ethics include avoidance of people's exploitation through lending them money at interest and prohibition against false advertising. Under Islamic laws, if a vendor sells an item by making false claims about it, customer has the right to have transaction canceled. So yun, para sa mga Muslim naman, ayan, dapat hindi sila nagpo-post ng mga false advertisement or nagbibigay ng false hope sa mga customer nila. So kung ano talaga yung service at product na ino-offer nila at yung mga special features nun, yung mga functions nun, huwag natin siyang ipa-falsify or dadagdagan para mas ma-enganyo yung mga buyers na bumili. So hindi naman pagmamarket yun. So parang panloloko yun. Yun. So pag sa marketing naman, ayun, gamitin natin yung skills natin sa marketing in a good way or yung totoong pagmamarket talaga. Yung iba kasi panloloko na yung ginagawa, wag ganun. Okay, so pag nangyari yun at nalaman ng customer, meron silang rights para i-cancel yung transaction or bawiin yung pera nila. And also, pwede din naman silang kasuhan din dahil sa pag-falsify nila ng information. Ayun, alam ko merong mga laws na pwedeng kasuhan ng mga buyers yung yung companies na nag-falsify ng information. Ayan. So, minsan pa nga sa mga tag price minsan mali yung nalalagay ng mga company na tag price. Ayan, kung gano'n nalagay nila dito buy one take one, tapos pagdating nila sa counter, hindi pala siya buy one take one. So kung ano nilagay nila sa tag price, kahit in reality, hindi talaga siya buy one take one, magiging buy one take one siya. Kasi ayun yung nilagay nila doon sa item. Okay, so rights ng customer yun. Mabibili niya yun ng buy one take one. Kasi ayun yung nilagay. Kahit sabihin nagkamali yung mga sales lady na maglagay ng buy one take one. Next is Buddhist business ethics. So, sa Buddhist, business code and the professional ethics are closely tied with respect for environment. Essentially, according to Buddhist teachings, ethical and moral principles are run by examining a certain action which has to avoid any harm. Therefore, some Buddhist texts emphasize the role of enlightenment, one of the elements which prohibits occupation associated with violence, such as arms dealings. So yun, siguro ma-apply natin to sa mga nag-work as nag-a-assist sa bahay or yung mga nannies, yung ganyan. Dapat hindi natin sila sinasaktan. Ayan. Hindi naman siguro porque binabayaran natin sila, pwede na natin silang saktan. So, i-avoid natin yung violence. Okay, so next naman, we have the Filipino value system. So, yun, nabili na ako na pwede natin i-apply sa workplace. So, ito yung mga Filipino value system or Filipino culture, work culture. So, let's proceed to navigating the Filipino culture. So, next, first is the warmth and friendliness. Yan. Smiling is a way of saying hello. And a firm handshake is often followed by, how are you? Yan. So, minsan, sa sobrang friendly ng mga Pilipino. Ayan. So, pag may papasok sa office, ayan, mag-hello tayo and then mag-smile and then kakamustahin natin sila, ganun. Ganun ka-friendly ang mga Pinoy. And then, next is, syempre ito. Dito nakilala ang mga Pilipino. Hospitality. Newcomers and expats are warmly welcomed at work, invited for a meal or drink after office hours, toured around the city or town, introduced to other colleagues. So, ito, nakagawin na ito ng mga Pilipino, yan, especially sa mga foreigners, talaga tayo, nag-warm welcome talaga tayo sa mga bago. And then, pag sa company naman, ayan, pag may mga bago talaga, pag may mga new hire, automatic yan, kakain kayo sa first day nila. Ayan, i-welcome kayo kasi papakilala siya sa lahat ng mga colleagues. Yan. Unique communication style. English is the second language of the Philippines. We all know. Ayan. So, kahit ano pang work yan, nakakaintindi ng English ang mga Pilipino. Respect to seniors is commonly shown by using ma'am, sir, miss, mister, as well as po and opo. So kasi sa ibang bansa kasi, ina-address nila yung mga seniors nila or top management sa pangalan lang. Yan. Pag sa mga nasa local company ka at mga Filipino yung may-ari, yan, gumagamit talaga tayo ng ma'am, sir, miss, and mister. Filipinos don't want to appear confrontational and troublesome. They keep their reservation to themselves. So, pag may mga issues sa isang company, tahimik lang tayo. Ewan ko, pero hindi talaga confrontational ang mga Filipino. Ayun, parang kinikimkim na lang nila and then mag-move on. Yan. Deep sense of camaraderie and belonging. Colleagues are treated as family. Ayan, parang second family na natin yung mga colleagues natin. Yan. The body system is stronger, which benefits newcomers. So, normally, pag may mga newcomers, meron tayong mga body-body system. Ayan, yung body system. Meaning, pag may mga bago, meron siyang kabady, which is, yun yung tatanungan niya kung ano yung, kung meron man lang siyang ginaiintindihan, or kung naliligaw siya sa isang company. Ang pwede niya tanungin ito kung ano, kung saan, yun, meron siyang malalapitan. Yan, may ina-assign na tayo sa kanyang kabady niya. Healthy colleagues going through a tough time at work is normal. Yan. And then, their loyalty can make them strong ambassador of the business. Next is the generosity. We often hand out small trinkets or pasalubong from trips. Kaya normal yan. Pag nagbakasyon ka, pag uwi mo, idala ka ng pasalubong para sa mga colleagues mo. Promotion and successful projects are celebrated by treating colleagues. Ayan, pag merong mga success stories ang isang department, nagpapakain sila. Gift giving among employees during the holidays is common practice yan, especially pag Christmas. Ayan, may sarili silang exchange ng gifts, monita-monito, yan. Then potluck is popular because Filipino employees love to eat. So pag may mga celebration, normally, meron tayong naka-assign na food na kung anong dadalhin natin. Commendable hard work. They're okay with working beyond business hours if it adds value to their work. Creative and resourceful, offering a hand to colleagues on a project is normal. So, yon, ang mga Pilipino ma-OT. Okay, so yon. Next naman ay ang business ethics. So, as you can see, meron tayong mga words na nakikita. For example, behavior, conduct, moral, philosophy, corporate, commitment, policies and responsibilities, principles and actions, rules, and liabilities natin. Ayan, rights, mga guide. Ayan, pasok yan sa business ethics. Okay, so for our lesson 8, we're going to discuss the code of ethics. So what is ethics? Ethics means moral principle that govern a person's or group's behavior, or Judeo-Christian ethics. Ayan, yung mga sinusundan ethics na based din sa Bible. Ayan, and then moral code, morals, morality, values, right, wrongs, principle, ideas, standards of behavior, value system, virtues, dictates the conscience. And what else? Moral correctness of a specified conduct, especially ones relating to or affirming to a specific group, field, or form of conduct. Late Middle English, yan, from Old French ethic, from Latin ethics, from Greek, yan. So what is code of ethics? So code of ethics issued by a business is a particular kind of policy statement. So a proper framed code is in effect a form of legislation within a company binding to its employees with specific sanctions for violation of the code. If such sanctions are absent, the code is just list of pieties. The most severe sanction is usually dismissal unless a crime has been committed. Okay, so ayan, another meaning is the code of ethics is a guide of principles designed to help professional conduct, business honesty, and with integrity. A code of ethics document may outline the mission and values of the business or organization, how professionals are supposed to approach problems, and ethical principle based on the organization's core values and standard to which the professional is held. Yeah, so the code of ethics sets out an organization's ethical guidelines and best practice to follow for honesty, integrity, and professionalism for members of the organization, violating the code of ethics can result in a sanction, including termination or dismissal, depends on the level of the violence or the violation. In some industry, including banking and finance, a specific law govern business ethics. In other words, a code of ethics may voluntarily adopted. The main types of code of ethics include a compliance-based code of ethics, a value-based code of ethics, and a code of ethics among professionals. A focus on climate change has become an integral part of company codes of ethics detailing their commitment to sustainability. So we have types of codes of ethics. So first is the compliance-based code of ethics. For all business laws regulate issues such as hiring and safety standards. Compliance-based codes not only set guidelines for conduct but also determine the penalties and violations. So yun, pwede natin pagbasihan din yung law. Meron tayong mga safety and standards na dapat natin sundin. If not, meron ding mga penalties and violations yun. Value-based code of ethics addresses a company's core value system. It may outline standards of responsibility conduct as they relate to the larger public good and environment. Value-based ethical codes may require a greater degree of self-regulation than compliance-based codes. So code of ethics among professional, for example, financial advisors registered with the SEC or state regulators are bound by a code of ethics known as fiduciary duty. This is a legal requirement and also a code of loyalty that requires them to act in the best interest of their client. So for example, ito yung mga example ng code of ethics. Act with integrity, competence, diligence, respect, and in an ethical manner with the public clients, prospective clients, employers, employees, colleagues in the investment professions, and other participants in the global capital markets. Place the integrity of the investment profession and interest of clients above their own personal interest. Use reasonable care and exercise independent professional judgment. Ibig sabihin, independent professional judgment. Walang bias, walang interest ng iba, or walang influence ng ibang bagay or ng ibang tao. When conducting investment analysis and making investment recommendation, taking investment actions and engaging in the professional activities. So for example, meron tayong dalawang clients and then pag nag-invest yung isa dito, parang tutubo ka ng malaki, tapos yung isa naman pag gusto mag-invest dito, tutubo din naman ng ganun kaliit, gusto mong i-recommend na lang yung isang investment para silang tumubo ng malaki, and then magkaroon ka ng malaking commission. Pero hindi naman yung nakakabuti para sa client kasi iba yung type ng investment na naka-design para sa kanya. So dapat hindi ganun. So dapat kung ano yung fit para doon sa client, kung ano lang yung kailangan niya, at kung ano yung afford niya, huwag natin pilitin. Kasi mag-suffer siya in the long run. Di naman niya kayang bayaran yung kung ganun kalaki, di ba? Ayun. May stop lang din yun. Kuwawa lang din sila. Practice and encourage others to practice in a professional and ethical manner that will reflect credit on themselves and the profession. Promote the integrity and viability of the global capital markets for the ultimate benefit of the society. Maintain and improve their professional competence and strive to maintain and improve the competence of other investment professionals. So yun, pag nagre-recommend tayo ng mga investment and then nagre-research tayo and then nagde-decision tayo, hindi dapat siya hindi dapat siya bias or may influence ng ibang bagay or kaya mo to pinipili. Dito ka magkakaroon ng malaking komisyon. Dito ka mas mag-benefit. Hindi natin iniisip kung kaya ba ito bayaran ng customer natin or ito ba talaga yung bagay para sa niya, sa health niya, sa financial niya. Yan. Kasi baka hindi naman niya afford. Pinipilit lang natin. So in the future, siya lang din yung mag-suffer. So dapat kung ano lang yung afford niya, tapos kung ano lang yung kailangan niya, yun ang yung ibigay natin. Okay, I think that's it for our chapter 2. Okay, thank you for listening. Okay, so that's all for our business ethics. You can now take your break and then we'll meet by 5 p.m. I think for entrepreneurship. Okay, so thank you for those who joined the discussion or the Zoom. Thank you. Bye.